Another big module in our course is about touring, because it's such an important part of the business. And for me, I was a manager of a rock band for years. So it was especially important. And we cover all kinds of areas about touring in depth. I mean, it's an area that I started as a concert promoter and then graduated to being a manager. So the live business is something, you know, I will gladly say I can claim expert status on. I understand how it works. So we spent a lot of time on it, and there's lots of questions that we get all the time about it. So the best place for some of you folks to start is to check out our course, and we'll talk a little bit more about it here in a minute. Here's the question. Booking shows. Okay. Certain days ask a question, hey Renman, how do you book enough shows to build an audience when you're stuck in the vicious cycle of trying to build an audience, but the venues won't book you without an existing audience to sell tickets to? We have played tons of shows at bars, restaurants, and open mics with fantastic response from the crowd to the music, but without solid connections, the bookings are too far and few in between and get any real momentum to keep us going. Similarly, booking agents seem to have no interest in you can sell tickets and be profit. How do we begin to get our music in front of enough people to garner interest? Great question. Question I hear all the time, and this is where you're going to hate me certain days, right? Club owners are interested in two things. People walking through the door, that's number one. But actually maybe number one is that they're a drinking crowd. That's how clubs, typically small clubs, make their money. Same with restaurants and so forth and so on, right? So when they book an act at those clubs, right, they're not really interested in your music. They don't give a shit about that. They could hate your band, but if you bring 300 people, they're going to book you again, right? And if that crowd's doing 20 bucks a head in booze, they're going to book you and you're actually going to make some money, right? So when, and this is going to sound a little harsh, but you tuned in here for some real answers, right? If you are playing clubs, right, and you're not doing a bigger crowd every time, then something's not connecting, right? And I say that because I've been witnessed my whole life. People come backstage after concerts and tell the band how great they were, how great they were, how great they were, when sometimes they're just being nice. And I don't know who's giving those reviews. Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it your best friend at work and so forth? Because people want to be supportive, right? But when you take out the friends and family scenario, if somebody came to a show and saw you and loved it, they'd want to know when you're playing again. And that's how you start to build an audience, right? If you're playing shows and you get 10 customers at a place and you got their email address because you want to build a relationship with them, right? It all starts with them being blown away by your performance. So if that's not happening and you're not getting these gigs, I'm going to say that the connection isn't as strong perhaps as you would think, right? Because if it was, more people would be coming. So how do you build a live business? I'm a big fan of if you could play regularly where people know that you're going to be playing every month at Club X, right, or Club Y. Then they can put it on their calendar and you can start to build a bit of an audience. If you can build an audience in your hometown, then best thing to do is try to move it down the road a piece, right? So if you could do business in LA, maybe you try to go play down in Orange County out here in Southern California, and you start building your circle wider and wider and wider, right? It's called doing the steps, right? And so the bands that make a career out of the touring business, Incubus started doing parties, okay, in people's backyards. Today, people are doing shows in people's backyards with websites like SOFR, Sounds from a Room. I had one of those in my backyard here. People are putting on gigs in their living rooms today. They're doing it online through different ways, things that weren't there when I started in the business. But you got to keep showing up certain days. You got to ask yourself, if people aren't showing up more than just friends and family, is the set list together? Is the show together? Are the songs as good as they could be? And if that's not happening, you need to address it. When you start getting people showing up, when that starts to happen, club owners talk to other club owners. They'll talk to agents and go, hey, you should check out this band. How do I know? When we were signing Incubus, I went down and saw them at a local club here in LA. I've told this story before, but if you're new, you haven't heard it. And I go in there, there's 200 or 300 people, right? And so suspicious guy, that I'm thinking, well, yeah, they must have a big fucking family here or something, right? So anyway, I do a little homework on the band and find out that they've been gigging regularly at the Troubadour here in town. And I knew the buyer at the Troubadour. So I call him, I say, hey, Lance, what's the deal on this band Incubus? Is this real business? And he goes, oh, yeah, these guys draw all the time. They're great promoters. They promote the shit out of their shows. And they kept getting gigs. That attention got them the money to make a demo that got the attention of an A&R guy, that got the attention of one of the senior execs, myself, who got the attention of other senior execs. And we signed the band, and their live show that they developed in those little clubs just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And here's how I know it was working. In every single city that they played, for the whole of their first album, when they played this time and come back, they did bigger business. Then they'd support another band, and then they come back on their own and do bigger business. It just kept going like this. And that's how we knew it was working. So same will be true for you. I hope that answers your question. I hope not to demoralize you, but you need to be honest about where you're at here.